I am turning 40 in 2 weeks, which is honestly crazy because I swear it was just 2016 yesterday. Then again, I was doing a lot more partying in 2016 and now I'm asleep by like 10 p.m. But over the last decade, I've learned a lot about money. And one of the biggest things I have learned is this: most wealth building is not about one giant life-changing financial move. It's usually tiny habits, tiny systems, tiny mindset shifts. If you repeat these tiny things over and over again, one day you're gonna look up and your entire financial life will look different in a good way. So in this video, I am gonna break down 30 different money hacks I learned and implemented in my 30s. These are real things that have genuinely reduced my stress, improved my finances, and helped me build wealth over this past decade. And for those of you who are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Lissa Lumutenga. I am a certified financial planner. I help women build wealth and an abundant mindset. So if that is your vibe, make sure you subscribe. All right, let's jump into it. So I divided 30 hacks into 6 different sections: saving, spending, money management, credit and debt, investing, and finally, but probably most important, mindset shifts. Let's jump into section number 1, saving hacks. Hack number 1, pay yourself first. This changed everything for me. It's probably not new if you've been on my channel for a while. Pay yourself first simply means that your savings happens before your spending does. It's not that you save whatever's left over, it's that you prioritize saving first. Why? Because respectfully, there's usually nothing left over, or at least it's not consistent from month to month. The moment that I automated savings directly from my paycheck, saving became a way more consistent and way less emotional. I stopped relying on motivation, stopped trying to be disciplined every single week or every month. The money just moved automatically, and then I forgot it was happening. And in my mind, paying yourself first is more than just a saving money tactic. It is a mindset shift. It's basically telling yourself that future you matters. Hack number 2, separate savings accounts to reduce stress. I used to keep all my money, all my savings in one savings account, and then I would wonder why the savings would get drained. It's because my vacation money was in the same bucket as my save for a new car bucket, which was the same as my emergency bucket. Now I separate my savings into different accounts, primarily one account as an emergency fund, and then a second account for everything else, but I use apps to track how much is in each bucket, like how much is my vacation fund versus holding money aside for taxes. I think that your brain handles money better when your money has categories, when you're able to compartmentalize. When everything is mixed together, it's hard to tell what is actually available for you to spend and use. And then we end up feeling guilty for using and spending any of it. But when your money has a job, you're more organized and more intentional. And I think it reduces a lot of financial anxiety to do it this way. Hack number 3, give your emergency fund rules. An emergency fund, or money you set aside only to be used for emergencies, this fund works best when it is emotionally separate from your everyday money. So earlier I said that I keep it in a separate account. Now, a lot of people technically have emergency savings, money that they can use in a pinch, but they tend to dip into it for random stuff because there are no boundaries around it. If you really wanted to take money to use for something else, you could. So in my 30s, I started giving my emergency fund actual rules, like written out rules. Like, this is only for true emergencies: losing a job, losing income, medical emergencies that for some reason aren't covered by insurance, unexpected major expenses like home repairs where they exceed the amount I have saved up for them. Not things like a last minute flight or last minute concert tickets because I had a stressful week and I want to do something fun. You have to have these rules for yourself to compartmentalize that bucket of money. And honestly, this helps you build your emergency fund a lot faster. And once it's fully built, one of the best things you can do is almost forget that it exists, because the point of an emergency fund is peace of mind, not temptation, not being there for you to use for other reasons. Hack number 4, keep your emergency fund in a high yield savings account or online savings account. I keep my emergency fund in a high yield savings account, also known as a HYSA. That's just a savings account that tends to earn higher interest than a traditional bank account. And that's usually because there's no brick or mortar building. In order to get the money out, you have to transfer it into another account before you can withdraw it. But honestly, even though that sounds annoying, I think that's one of the biggest benefits. Housing money this way adds a little bit of friction, which means you sometimes can't transfer money instantly in the same day and go spend it. There's a small delay. It needs time to process to get moved into your other account before you can touch it and withdraw it with an ATM card. I think that small bit of friction has helped save me from myself, from just moving money between my checking and savings all willy-nilly. It's added a little bit of a layer that's like, okay, I don't want to deal with that and I shouldn't touch it anyway, so I'm just going to leave it there. It keeps the money feeling protected instead of emotionally available anytime I feel like it. Hack number 5, increase your savings rate every time your income increases. So one of the best money habits I built in my 30s was not basing my savings habits on a flat amount. Like, oh, I'm going to save $300 a month. When I started saving a percentage, that changed everything. Because if you think in percentages, like I'm going to save 5% of my income or 10% of my income, what happens is when your income increases, you don't even have to think about it. You already know that you're going to be increasing your savings rate. If you stick with a flat rate, like I'm going to save $300 a month and you get a raise, but you don't increase that amount, you're going to end up spending more on lifestyle expenses and less towards future you. Let's move on to section number 2, spending hacks. Hack number 6, learn your emotional spending triggers. So many of us, including me from time to time, so many of us spend emotionally. And honestly, I think that's a human trait. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Sometimes we want a little treat because we had a stressful day. Sometimes shopping feels comforting. Sometimes spending feels like a reward. But here's the thing. We have to be aware of what we're doing, because even if it can make you feel better temporarily, you have to have some sort of control over emotional triggers, because if every single emotional trigger in life leads to spending, it becomes really hard to build long-term financial stability. So one of the biggest things I learned in my 30s was to start paying attention to my spending triggers. Was I stressed? Was I bored? Was I lonely? Was I trying to reward myself? Or is this just something I really want because it brings value to my life? Having that simple awareness and building it over time changes everything. And honestly, this building of this self-awareness is going to take time. It takes more reflection, more mindfulness practices. Sometimes people need to go to therapy. If you can learn your emotional patterns around money, this is going to be one of the most powerful financial skills that you can build that will not just help you now, but will help you for the rest of your life. Number 7, convenience spending adds up fast. Let me give a concrete example of why I'm including this. I noticed that I pay a lot for convenience, and convenience spending can add up really fast. Food delivery, same-day shipping, taking Ubers everywhere, last-minute purchases because I didn't plan ahead and tried to get something on a deal or on sale. Now, the thing is, convenience is not evil. In fact, I've come to terms that personally, something I value a lot is convenience and comfort. I hate waiting in lines. No one loves it, but some people are more willing to do it than others. What I've done in my 30s is I've gotten to know myself a lot better. I've learned what I value. I value comfort, which is why I will pay twice as much for a first class flight, whereas other people I know won't, and they judge me for doing it. But I feel okay with it because I feel strongly about what I value. Someone else might value, a high quality handbag. And while I like them, I don't value them enough to pull money away from my investing, right? There are things that we all value for whatever reasons we have. And I think to be a better spender, it takes defining what you value so that you know as you make financial decisions, you are making it aligned with your values. Hack number 8, normalize wearing things twice. This might sound very niche, but this lesson was huge for me. I used to care a lot about fashion and also sneakers. So a quick story, back in my corporate days, back in the day, I had this very irrational rule that I could not wear the same shoes to work on back-to-back days. I can't tell you why, it's just a funny thing about me. I think it's because I'm a sneakerhead and I loved shoes and I had so many. So it was a thing. I was like, oh, I wore those yesterday, can't wear those today. No one else is gonna notice but me. But that kind of carried over to other things. There was a point where I thought I needed a brand new outfit, a brand new dress for every single wedding or big birthday event that I attended. Everywhere that there were photos, if I was photographed in something, I didn't want to wear it again. Then one day I realized all of us are constantly photographed all the time now. We all have a camera in our pocket. So there are going to be photos taken of us in outfits and shoes and different hairstyles, whatever. So if you keep trying to look for new for every single occasion, oftentimes your budget will suffer. Again, do you if it's something that you really value. I just know for me, the more I normalized using things multiple times, not only have I saved a lot more money that I could redirect to things like investing, but I've also been more intentional in what I consume and not as wasteful. Number 9, understand what quality means to you. One of the biggest spending shifts I made in my 30s was realizing that cheap and valuable are not always the same thing. Sometimes the cheapest option costs you more long term because you keep replacing it, because it doesn't last as long, because you end up hating it because it was cheaply made. Sometimes spending more upfront actually saves you money, time, stress, and energy in the long run. So now, before I buy something, I think about things like, how often will I use this? How long will it last? What value does it bring to my life? Does it genuinely improve my life? Or am I buying it impulsively? Am I buying it because it's on sale? Am I buying it because it's cheap? This is another element of spending with intention that is going to save you so much money in the long run. Hack number 10, build a guilt-free fun fund. This is a very important spending hack, I believe, and it actually means that you should spend. I think that building wealth, this journey of reaching financial security and feeling abundant, does not have to feel miserable and constrained. I personally don't believe in building a financial plan that makes you hate your life. This is why I always recommend having a fun fund. This is money you specifically set aside for joy, travel, experiences, a boba tea once a week. Maybe that's too much sugar, but as often as you want. Concerts, whatever other treats matter to you. I think when people become too restrictive with money, they usually end up swinging in the opposite direction and then overspend later on. Having a fun fund creates balance. You put money in it that you know you can spend guilt-free, but nothing more than that. You don't want it to affect other aspects of your financial life, but you want to have something there that you can use at will whenever you feel like it. Let's move on to section number 3, which are hacks about money management. Number 11, do weekly money check-ins instead of obsessing daily. I don't think that checking your bank account 15 times a day is being financially literate. I think that is financial anxiety with your banking app. What has worked better for me than, keeping an eye on my finances every single minute of every single day is establishing a regular routine. So a weekly or bi-weekly check-in routine. During this routine, you can review your spending, your account balances. You can look at upcoming bills and pay them if they're not already automatically paid. You can take a look at your progress with savings. Check to see if there's anything unusual, anything that got overcharged. You're basically setting aside time so that you can do that during that time period and then have peace of mind the rest of the time. The goal is not to constantly monitor your money. You want to start building systems that you trust and that work even when you're asleep. Hack number 12, automate what you can. One of the best ways to reduce financial stress is to automate as much as possible. Number 1 on this list was paying yourself first, and one way to do that is with a direct deposit. You can automate by splitting your paycheck in multiple ways every time you get paid. That's an easy way to do it. Then you don't even have to think about paying yourself first every paycheck. It just happens. But there's also automatic investing, automatic bill pay, automatic transfers. There are things you can set up that will make you less reliant on your memory and less reliant on putting everything on your to-do list. It just makes money management so much easier. 13, keep your finances organized in one place. This, I think, is an underrated money hack, and it's simply having one place where your entire financial life lives. Does that need to have every account number or amount? No. What I'm referring to is a spreadsheet, a notes app, a dashboard. I personally use Coda. Or you can use an actual financial app like Monarch Money, which is another one I use. So I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite because I have a couple different systems. What I mean by having everything in one place is not having everything scattered. You need to know at least what accounts exist, what subscriptions you are currently subscribed to, what your current financial goals are, your savings goals. The last thing you want to do is forget about old 401ks that you saved up to in your previous job. You don't want to lose track of all the subscriptions you pay for and maybe don't use. Having this clarity is going to help you save money, free up cash flow, and also give you confidence that you are making smart spending decisions. Number 14, set up sinking funds. A sinking fund is money you slowly save for future expected expenses. Things like holiday spending, which might be more at the end of the year than at the beginning of the year. Birthday gifts for people, car repairs, annual subscriptions, things that only hit once a year or twice a year. Travel, back to school shopping. These are predictable expenses. Just because they don't happen on a month-to-month basis doesn't automatically define them as emergencies. So sinking funds help you plan for irregular expenses instead of getting blindsided every time it's a month that tends to have more spending. Not to jump ahead to the mindset shifts later on in the video, but this was particularly a mindset shift for me in my 30s. It's that money management is not just about surviving this month. It's about preparing for future you, future months and years as well. Section 4, credit and debt hacks. Number 15, create a debt payoff plan. So I won't spend too much time on this, but the hack is you will pay debt down a lot faster in an accelerated way if you create a plan. If you know every single debt, know all the amounts, and you have a method to pay all the minimums, all that's due, and then you throw extra money at one of the debts until it's paid off. Then that freed up cash flow goes towards the next one. So you can look up the debt avalanche method or the debt snowball method. They're slightly different, but kind of the same process. Whatever you do, if you have multiple debts, create a plan because that is how you're going to get out of debt a lot faster. Number 16, acknowledge that debt has an emotional side. People talk about debt like it's purely math and numbers. But truthfully, for a lot of people, debt has a lot of emotion tied to it as well. Debt causes a lot of stress. Sometimes it causes a lot of shame. Sometimes people fell into debt because of survival, lack of financial education, family pressure. There are a lot of reasons people end up in debt, and most of the time, it does not feel good. So I truly believe that you can't shame yourself into healing financially. I think this is one of the reasons a lot of people stay stuck. They spend a lot of energy judging themselves that they never build a plan forward. They don't believe they can get out of this mess. I think you're allowed to take accountability for your finances without also bullying yourself. So if you can acknowledge that, I think you can go a long way. Number 17, learn your credit cards and use them as tools. This might sound obvious that if you have a credit card, you should know how it works, but I want to dig a level deeper. If you have credit cards, you should understand what each one's interest rate is, what your payment due dates typically are, what your limits are, what your annual fees are, and the fun part, what your rewards structure is. Once you understand how your cards actually work, you can start using them strategically instead of mindlessly. In my 30s, I learned how to navigate rewards programs and benefits out of my cards. I pay a lot for my credit cards, but the return they give me is so much more than what I pay. I get to be in airport lounges. I get cash back for certain subscriptions like Disney Plus. And that's because I know what each card of mine does and offers. So I'm always getting points and also using them for the best deals. Remember, credit cards are tools. They can work against you, but they can also work in your favor if you know how to use them. Number 18, treat credit cards like debit cards. This mindset shift saved me from a lot of unnecessary stress. I stopped thinking of credit cards as extra money. I just treat them like debit cards. If I cannot afford to pay something cash or from my checking account, then I won't put it on the card. 19. Put your credit cards on autopay for at least the minimum payment. This is a hack that is going to help protect your credit report and credit score. Now, ideally, if you use your credit card, you pay it in full every month, right? This is using it as a tool. But I know life happens. Sometimes people forget. Sometimes people have to use their card because they're in a pinch. So one thing I always recommend is set up autopay for at least the minimum payment amount. That way, even if you somehow forget to log in and make a payment each month, your account will stay current and your credit is protected. Yes, the remaining amount will be carried over to the next month and you'll have to pay some interest, but at the very least, you protect your credit. It's kind of just a fail-safe that I think can protect your credit. Number 20, forgive yourself for being in debt. I didn't realize I put this on the list kind of twice because earlier I said to acknowledge the emotional side, but it's that important because I work with a lot of people who are in debt, and it is this spiral of feeling embarrassed, shameful, irresponsible, bad with money that just carries them to being more bad with money. A very simple hack to help yourself get out of debt is to forgive yourself for getting in the debt in the first place. Acknowledge that you might have not been taught financial literacy, at least not properly. Acknowledge that you probably have experienced a lot of hardship. Acknowledge that a lot of people make mistakes while learning how to manage money. Making mistakes with money is human. I simply think you can't build a healthier financial future if you're constantly attacking yourself for something you did in the past. So, if you want to get out of debt and you feel a lot of negative feelings about it or towards yourself, then think about how can you get to a point where you forgive yourself and no longer feel or stay stuck. Section number 5, investing hacks. Number 21. Start investing before you feel fully ready. I have a video I posted about this just last week, but basically, almost no one ever feels fully ready to start investing. A lot of times people think they need more money, more confidence, more knowledge, more education, or somehow think they need perfect timing. But Confidence with investing, in my opinion, actually comes after you start. After you do it, you have a couple reps, you see that it's not so bad after all. Over time, money starts to grow, and you're like, okay, why didn't I do this sooner? It's hard to get to that point if you prevent yourself from starting. Hack number 22. Invest at a rate, not just a flat amount. I alluded to this earlier in the video when we were talking about savings, but I want you to do the same for investing. A lot of us, if we have retirement accounts at our jobs, we already contribute a percentage. When you start investing outside of retirement, oftentimes people will invest a flat dollar amount. And that works too. As long as you're investing, I think that's a good thing. But the hack is do a percentage of your income. That way, anytime your income increases, you are going to start increasing your investments as well. And that is when compounding really starts to take off. 23. Think in decades, not in days. Real wealth building happens slowly. This takes years, oftentimes decades. And it's often the result of thousands of small, boring, consistent decisions rather than one big thing that you do. Zooming out and thinking long term helps create a calmer environment when it comes to investing. 24. Get bored. This is a great hack with investing. This might sound weird, but actual wealth building is kind of boring sometimes. You're just doing it consistently. Consistently investing, consistently saving, consistently having good money habits. A lot of financial success is from repetition. If your financial life constantly feels stressful, then something probably needs adjusting, because I think sustainable wealth is way more peaceful than it is exciting and big and changing all the time. 25. Focus on ownership, not just income. In my 20s, I thought increasing income was the whole goal. Make more, because income is how you do things in life. And yes, income matters. It gives you more options, but wealth is really built through ownership, owning investments, owning businesses, owning assets, anything that can potentially grow over time. I know people with high incomes who feel stressed every month because they don't own a lot. They own a lot of items, but not investments that can actually grow. I also know people with more moderate incomes who build wealth and are confident in their finances because they consistently own and keep building their assets. Having income helps, but ownership and focusing on ownership is what can change your long-term wealth trajectory. Finally, section number 6. I think this is an important one, so hang with me, we're almost there. Mindset and wealth hacks. 26. Build wealth that improves your peace, not just your paycheck. In my 20s, I thought wealth was mostly about numbers, your income, your savings, your net worth. But in my 30s, I realized that wealth has a very big emotional side too. Most people build wealth not because they want to flex being a millionaire or billionaire. Most people build wealth because they want peace of mind, confidence in their decisions, options, freedom, work optionality, and simply not having to panic every time something crazy in life happens that might drain your bank account. I think financial peace is underrated, but that should be the ultimate goal. Hack number 27. Heal your scarcity mindset as your income grows. One thing that no one prepared me for is that your mindset can stay stuck in survival mode even after your finances improve. You can technically be doing better financially, but you still feel broke, you still feel scarce, you still feel anxious. A lot of people think getting that next big raise, that big jump in income is going to solve all of this. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it doesn't. And that's why I think it is a big mindset shift that you have to do for yourself to continue to work out of scarcity mode and work to build an abundant mindset just as much as you have to build the wealth itself. There's almost two simultaneous paths going on. And when you do that, that work of healing sometimes matters just as much, if not more, than building the wealth itself. 28. Build confidence through repeated actions. A lot of people think that if they get to a certain level of salary or net worth, they'll become good with money and confident with money. And that's just not true. In my 30s, I have learned that you don't magically wake up one day and feel good with money. Most confidence with money is built after repeated habits over and over again. Saving consistently, learning about investing, learning about different money topics, paying off debt consistently, etc. It's those small repeated things that are going to make you feel good with money, and it's not a switch that just happens overnight. 29. Seek clarity before chasing more. One of the biggest financial shifts in my 30s was when I got honest about what I actually wanted my life to look like. I stopped comparing to others on social media and stopped defining what success was based on other people's views. I found clarity in what I thought was successful and what I thought felt good and made me happy. Again, this is one of those things that doesn't happen overnight, but it is a clarity that I built through mindfulness practices, journaling, self-awareness, therapy. All of these things that I've done have given me clarity about what it is I want in life and why I even want money, why I want more money. I'm no longer trying to impress others or chasing lifestyles that other people want that I didn't even want. I am literally just building a life that I want to live, and I'm excited to go into the next decade with this kind of mindset. Which leads me to number 30, last but not least on the list, hack number 30, use money to create a better life, not just a bigger one. The goal of money, in my opinion, that I've learned and that I've accepted and that I truly wholeheartedly believe in my 30s, is that the goal of money is not just to accumulate more money forever. Chasing. The goal is to create a life that feels good to live. For me, that is more freedom, more flexibility, more peace of mind, more alignment, more joy, more time with the people that I love, more time doing the things that I enjoy doing. That is what wealth means to me now, and that is my driver. I spend less wastefully now because I have this sort of alignment with my values and what it is I want in life. When I look back at my 20s versus my 30s, like I said, I think the biggest difference wasn't just more financial knowledge or more money itself. A lot of it, as you've seen in these 30 hacks, was about intentionality. I'm less reactive with money. I'm less emotional when it comes to spending, less chaotic and all over the place. I'm just more organized. I have more systems, more peace, more long-term thinking, and just more alignment with my values and building a life that I want to live. When you stack all of these habits together over time, for me, in the last decade, they have changed my financial life. So I hope they're helpful to you. Feel free to leave me a comment below and tell me if any of these money hacks are something you are going to think about trying. And until next time, peace out.